Okay, so Rabbi China is kind of corny. This is Parag Gimel Mishnah Beis. Rabbi China is kind of corny. Omer, having respal b'shlomo shel malchus. It means you should daven for the peace of the government. Now, this is true no matter what the government is, even if it's a wicked government. Shemoli morov, not for the fear of government. Ish esreu chaim below. People would swallow each other up alive. So the Bartanura says here, if you see on the side, for the will of government, even the nations of the world will swallow alive, as is written, and you make man like the fish of the sea. Just like the fish of the sea, each one that is bigger than the other. His fellow swallows his fellow. So to people who are not for the fear of government, each one who is bigger than his fellow would swallow his fellow. In other words, basically, government is what keeps the law and order in a country. That's a big thing now that President Trump is advertising, that he's the law and order president. I'm not sure he's doing such a great job, because it's not really up to him, because we have 50 states, and each state has its own governor who's in charge of the law and order in his own state, or his or her own state. And the question is how good a job they're doing, not how good a job the president is doing. But it doesn't matter. The person who is in charge of the government, the people in charge of government, whether it's an individual or a group, they are the people who keep the peace, and they are essential. In the Sidurim, which are printed in Russia in the 19th century, there are tefillos for the welfare of the Tsar. The Tsar of Russia.
There are tefillos in Sidurim now for the government and army.
Right. But now, the Tsar was not such a good guy. He persecuted the Jews. But yet they had a tefillah for him. And the reason is because without the government, people would swallow each other up alive. There would be what we call anarchy. Everybody would want to do as they please, as you see happens when people riot and loot stores. You need somebody to bring order and restore the law. So you have to.
Yeah, it's not working very well.
Yeah, it's not working very well. But imagine. Yes.
Just make sure people come. Just make sure you check the waiting room, because I just texted everyone to come.
Yeah, I'm checking it. So, Rabbi China, it's interesting. He was a Kohen, and obviously, the Kohanim at the time when he was a Kohen, he was serving Beis Hamikdash. Kind of Kohen means he was a Kohen who was serving Beis Hamikdash. So he's saying that to down for the peace of the king, peace of the kingdom, even though the Kohen Gadol would daven every Yom Kippur for peace in Am Yisrael, that was a nice tefillah, but it wasn't realistic. In other words, you can daven to Kodesh Baruch Hu to have peace.
5 words long?
What?
Wasn't the tefillah only like 5 words long?
No, it was about, we say it in Kippur davening, it was about 100 words long.
Oh, no, I thought it was like right when he comes out of the...
No, it's about 100 words long. It's right before Emes Manedor.
I learned about this. Me and her learned this.
If you take out a machzor, you'll see. It had to do with that, that's the feeling in which he davened, that people...
Don't we say it at other times also?
No, that was the feeling in which he said that the people living in the Sharon, their houses should not fall down on their heads. So, it was a well-known tefillah. But, so there he davened for peace. But peace without a working government is not going to work. You have to be realistic. You can't rely on a nace. Excuse me. Sorry, I swallowed something the wrong way. You can't rely on a nace to bring you peace. You have to have a government which is going to bring it to you. And that's why in Am Yisrael, we always want there to be a government, a strong government, which is going to keep the peace, even though we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu is really behind everything, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu's tool is the Malchus. Okay? So that is important. That I should tell you that there was a famous French philosopher who lived around the time that we're learning about now in school, Jacques Rousseau, who spoke about how all government, actually, there are a bunch of them, but at that time, spoke about all governments are a social contract. It means the people who live together have decided to give certain of their powers to the government. Because if they kept those powers to themselves, then everybody would be over stealing, robbing, and murdering everybody else. So this way they gave the government the power to police society in order to keep the peace among everybody. So we relinquish certain rights to the government in order that the government should safeguard us. And therefore, no matter who the government is, if the government was around, it would probably be worse. Okay, that's the first part of the Mishnah. Now the second part of the Mishnah is interesting as to why it's put here together with the first part of the Mishnah, because it seems to have nothing to do with it. So let's see if we can make a tie up. Rabbi Chena ben Tradin Omer, Shnayim shiyoshim beineim divrei Torah. Two people are singing together and not there's no Torah between them. Harei ze moshav leitzim. That's considered to be a moshav leitzim, a session of scorners he has here. A leitzim in modern Hebrew is a clown, but a leitzan. But in classic Hebrew, it doesn't mean a clown, but rather somebody who scoffs, who mocks. And the word we have in English for that today is a cynic. Somebody who's always criticizing, somebody who never appreciates enough, and somebody who therefore makes a mockery and tries to pokes fun at things which are precious to other people. So I don't think that the meaning of the Mishnah here is that they have to talk words of Torah. And if they don't talk words of Torah, it's a moshav leitzim. It's automatically they're sitting and scoffing. But rather, they have to have between them the words of the Torah. Meaning that they have a basis for their principles and what they're pursuing in this world. Whether they speak out Torah, don't speak out Torah, that's not important. Everything they do has to be based on Torah. Because it's not based on Torah, then there's no system of values, there's no shared set of principles, then they're going to start making a mockery, making fun, making jokes which are inappropriate. Because when people don't have values, they make fun of everything. And they don't take anything seriously. So therefore, if they don't have a value system of Divrei Torah there, then it's going to become a moshav leitzim. So again, most people translate that's moshav leitzim if they don't actually speak words of Torah among them. I don't think that that's what it's because they would say ve'ein medabrim divrei Torah. They're not speaking words of Torah, or ein omrim divrei Torah. They're not saying words of Torah. If it says ein beineim divrei Torah, that means that between the two of them, they don't have the common basis of the words of Torah. And the quotes here, Tehillim Aleph, which it says, Asher ish sholach batzas yisroim, uderech hatoim lo amad, umoshav leitzim lo yoshav. So there it says there that a person should avoid sinners, Asher ish rishoim, wicked people, sinners, and scoffers. Even if a person is not a sinner, and he's certainly not a rasha, but he always makes fun of things, he's a shallow person. It means that he doesn't really have any depth to him. He doesn't think about significant things, and therefore all of life is a joke. So such a person, it's good to make jokes from time to time. It's even good to sometimes scoff at things. Chazal say, Kol leitzinusa asira levad me leitzinusa d'avodah zarah. You're not allowed to scoff at anything, but at Avodah Zarah you can scoff. That's why, they give funny names to Yoshka and other things like that, because you're allowed to scoff at things which are really bad things.
What funny name? What are you talking about?
Yoshka is in itself a funny name.
Really? I thought it's just for like Joshua.
No, it's meant to be a funny name. And that's what they call Mosu Yeshu. His name was Yoshua, but they call him Yeshu because Yeshu stands for what? What does Yeshu stand for? Rosh Tevos. Yud Shin Vav. Yimach Shmo v'Zichro. Right. So that name Yeshu, which we give him, is to make a mockery of the Avodah Zarah which they made out of him. So that you're allowed to, there are even things which you're allowed to scoff at, but the scoffing itself has to be based on what the Torah tells us to scoff at, what Chazal tells us we can scoff at, not things we choose on our own. So, therefore, again, Shnayim Shishim Ein B'Neim Divrei Torah Reis Moshav Leitzim Shneimar Moshav Leitzim Lo Yashav. You should not be sitting in a place of leitzim, place of scoffers. Shneimar, as it says, Oz Nid Baru Yirei Hashem Isha Re'eu. Those who fear God spoke one to each other. Vayakshiv Hashem Vayishma, and Hashem listened and heard. Vayikaseh b'sefer zikaron lefanov. It was written in the book of memories before him. Yeah.
Yushma is in the waiting room or something.
He is?
He's not, actually. Never mind. His internet shut off.
Okay. Lirei Hashem b'chol sheishmo, those who fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu and hold His name is significant. So again, in this pasuk, which is a very beautiful pasuk, it doesn't mention anything about Divrei Torah. It doesn't say they're talking about Divrei Torah. It just says, Nidbru Yirei Hashem, people who are God-fearing, speak ish areu. They speak to each other. And Chazal say, Afilu sichas chulin shel Talmidei Chachamim tzricha Talmud. Even if you have two Talmidei Chachamim who are schmoozing, you have to learn from you can learn from what they're saying. How they talk, what they're talking about, and what they don't talk about. I once got in big trouble when I was a bacher in Ner Yisrael, Beis Medrash. I once went to the Rosh Yeshiva's house for Friday night. People used to go to Rabbeim's house Friday night. I went once to the Rosh Yeshiva's house. And I came back to the Beis Medrash. And somebody asked me what they were speaking about at the Beis Medrash, at the Rosh Yeshiva's house. So I said, Yeshiva Shel Lashon Hara, meaning that what's happening in this yeshiva, what's happening in that yeshiva, what's happening in this gadol, what's happening in that gadol. And somebody heard me say that, and somebody heard me say that and said, and told the mashgiach that I said this. So the mashgiach called me over, and he was nice about it.
What yeshiva?
What?
What yeshiva?
Ner Yisrael. And he was nice about it. He said, you can't express yourself that way about what's being talked about in the Rosh Yeshiva's house, even though you didn't mean it literally, and of course I know you didn't mean it literally, because that diminishes the respect which people have for what the Rosh Yeshiva is talking about. And he's what? He's right. It does diminish the respect, and it's important that we know that even the sichas chulin shel Talmidei Chachamim tzricha Talmud. In other words, that don't think that just what they're speaking about is just schmoozing. No, there's something you can learn from any time you're in the presence of somebody who is a wise or good person, how they speak, what they speak about, and what they don't speak about. So that's what the pasuk here is saying. Two people, even if you have two people sitting together, and they're just talking to each other, Hashem listens, and the difference is Vayakshev Hashem Vayishma. Vayakshev means to give an ear, right? You start, they're talking. Let me go hear what they're saying. That's Vayakshev. Vayishma means to actually hear what they're saying. So Hashem pays attention even to two people who are talking about anything, as long as they're Yirei Hashem. Hashem wants to pay attention to hear what they have to say. Hashem knows what they're saying. What does it mean? Hashem pays attention to what they're saying. Hashem is teaching us, and we're supposed to learn from Hashem. So if it says Hashem pays attention and listens, we're supposed to know that whenever you see Talmidei Chachamim, or even Yirei Hashem, who are not Talmidei Chachamim, but they're God-fearing people, you should go, pay attention, and listen to what they have to say, because you will learn something. So that's it saying, Vayakshev Hashem Vayishma. You should also listen when this happens in front of you. Not only that, Vayikasev Sefer Zikaron Lefanov. It's written up a book of memory before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Again, it's not a Sefer Torah. It's not not a book of Torah Chidushim. If two people are speaking meaningful things, that means that there's something significant going on. That's written all in a positive book. We say it says Kol Ma'asech b'Sefer Nichtavim. All of your deeds are written in a book. But this is a positive book, right? These are the book of good things which people have done in the world. And even if it's something which is just a regular conversation, if it's a positive one, it's written that Sefer Zikaron, which is what? L'yirei Hashem l'chol shvei shemo. For those who are fear God, and for hold His name significant, meaning that they're careful that everything they do is not a chil Hashem, but is a kiddush Hashem. So therefore, these people, whatever they're talking about, it's worth it. Here's Yehuda. Okay, so the now he goes on and says, "Minayin shafilu echad sheyoshev osek b'Torah shakadosh baruch hu kovei lo schar sachar." How do we know that even a person who's by himself, who sits and learns Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sets for him a reward? Shemar, it says, "Yeshoy badad b'idom ki natal olav." He should sit quiet, he sits by himself and is silent because of the burden upon him. So that is an eicha, and it's a pasuk which is actually negative. It means people who are mourning sit by themselves and they mourn because they have a great burden of suffering on them. But the way Rabbi Chaim ben Trajan is using here is giving it a positive spin, right? This person is sitting silently and thinking about like the Bartanura says, a kol d'mama daka. If you remember, Eliyahu Navi ran to Har Sinai after the story with Achav and the Nevi Abal, and then he went up and sat in a cave on Har Sinai, and then there came a Baruch and Lo Baruch Hashem, and an Eish, Lo Ba'Eish Hashem. It was in the wind, he wasn't in the fire, and finally there was a kol d'mama daka, a thin, silent voice, and that was when Hashem came. So so to speak. So if a person hears that voice and is focused on this voice, then he gets rewarded. The Rabbi Bartanura says the way of one who learns alone is to learn when whispering. So there are different shitas in how the mitzvah of Talmud Torah is fulfilled. Most shitas are that the mitzvah of Talmud Torah is fulfilled if you say the words. If you don't say the words, you just think words of Torah, you're mekayim the mitzvah in Sefer Yoshua, which means not mitzvah d'oraisa. In Sefer Yoshua it says, "Vagisa bo yomam v'layla." You should think about Torah night and day. So if you only think words of Torah, you're not fulfilling the mitzvah of Talmud Torah.
What? You learn it, but you don't say the words. You read the words.
What?
What if you learn but not saying the words?
Same thing. According to that opinion, you're not yotzei mitzvah Talmud Torah only v'gitz b'yom v'layla. And therefore, the Shulchan Aruch paskins, you only make a birchas Torah when you say words of Torah. In other words, you have to speak out the words of Torah, and that's why immediately after we say birchas Torah in the morning, we say Yirech Hashem Yishmecha Elu Dvarim, because you only can make a birchas Torah when you say words of Torah. There is a principle though of Shomeh Ka'oneh. If you hear words of Torah from somebody else, it's as if you're saying them. So therefore, if you're learning b'chebrusa, and or on a shir, and the Rebbe says something, or the chebrusa says something, and you're listening, that is as if you said the words.
Does it work that way with Shnai Mikra?
What?
Does it work that way with Shnai Mikra?
The Shnai Mikra, you have to say it. You can't just read it. You have to say it.
What if you hear it from someone?
Oh, if you hear it from somebody else, so they say that it doesn't work because the mitzvah there is not to learn, but to read. So therefore, you're supposed to read the parsha yourself. It's a d'rabbanan, but they say that you're supposed to read it yourself, and that's why people have a minute to read along with the Baal Koirei, not to be yotzei by Shomeh Koineh. So the Gra argues. The Gra holds that Vagisa B'Yom V'Layla is the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, and therefore, even if you're learning silently, you have to make a birchas Torah. It says now, according to Shulchan Aruch, you can think words of Torah in the morning before you make the birchas Torah. According to the Gra, you're not allowed to think words of Torah before you think words of Torah before you make the birchas Torah. We pass like the Shulchan Aruch that you are not it's not a problem until you you don't have to make a bracha unless you're actually speaking words of Torah. So Maharal takes it an even further step though. Maharal says you're not mekayim the mitzvah of Talmud Torah unless you're learning with somebody else. If you're learning by yourself, it's not the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. Mitzvah Talmud Torah is from Shinantam Livanecha, right? So you have to, if you're teaching somebody, meaning you're speaking to somebody else. So if you're not speaking to somebody else, you're not being mekayim the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. So according to the and that seems to be the pshat in this Mishnah, right? It's a midan shefi echad sheyoshiv osik b'Torah. That Kosh Baruch gives him a reward, right? What do you mean? This kid gives him a reward? He's learning Torah. What difference does it make? He was learning Torah with other people, learning Torah by himself. The answer is that according to the Maharal, it does make a difference. The real mitzvah of learning Torah is specifically when you're learning with somebody else. And when you're not learning with somebody else, it's only the mitzvah of Gisabah Yom V'Layla to think words of Torah, even if you say the words out loud. So the Maharal is the extreme view, and it seems that there's a source for it here in the Mishnah. But the Agra is the other extreme, that even if you think words of Torah, you have to make brichas of Torah. The middle road is that of the Shulchan Aruch, which says you have to say words of Torah. When you say words of Torah, that's when you make a bracha. By the way, there's a famous Brisker Rav. The Brisker Rav says, Birchas HaTorah is not because it's not on your learning, but it's on the words of Torah. And that's why even though you make a bracha in the morning, Birchas Torah, whenever you get an aliyah, you make another bracha. Because you're making a bracha on those words of Torah. For if you learn in the morning and then stop, and then learn in the afternoon and stop, and learn in the evening, you don't make a new Birchas Torah each time. So the Birchas Torah in the morning covers you. But this, when you're laning, it's a new level of the words of Torah, a higher level.
Reggie, I'm leaning this Shabbos.
You are? Have a minion? Fantastic.
Bar mitzvah, yeah.
Mazel tov. Oh, you timed it well. That's a make a new bircha, and therefore he says the gross.
Schools are opening this Shabbos.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
but I'm not gonna make it in time.
I'm not going to shul. My mother
Like
wouldn't
10
allow.
people.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do shul this week either.
With 50.
The governor of New Jersey said 50.
We're finally here.
Only for the bigger shoes. My shoes doesn't hold so many people. So it's like,
Right.
my shoes like
50 people, 25%, whichever is smaller. What?
Chinese.
Anyway, so that's in the Brisker says that's why women make a birchas Torah, even though they don't have the mitzvah of learning Torah. Other people say, of course, that they do have the mitzvah, but the mitzvah to learn what's relevant to them, the halachos and Tosh B'chsav. But even if they didn't have a mitzvah, since the words of Torah require a bracha, so therefore they make a bracha when they learn, regardless of the mitzvah. It's kind of like you have to make a bracha when you eat a fruit, so you make a bracha on the words of Torah. Okay, so getting back to this Mishnah itself. So I said before, so the question is, what exactly is the connection between the beginning of the Mishnah, Rabbi Chinas Kana Konim, and Rabbi Chanina ben Tradion?
Who's drawing on the board?
Yeah, it's kind of a distraction. Also, bear in mind, this is all being recorded, so whoever's drawing on the board and somebody else comments on that, it's going to get into the recording on YouTube. So the Rabbi Chinas Kana Konim, Rabbi Chanina ben Tradion, Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen.
Somebody take it down.
It's fine. Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen of Lublin says that they're not going to see that screen. I don't put up the screen share. Rabbi Chanina ben Tradion and Rabbi Chanina, they share a first name. And the name, Rabbi Tzadok points out this name, Chanina, means something which I get as an act of grace. What's an act of grace? I don't necessarily deserve it, but I get it anyway. If you give me something because of chen, chen means you like a person in some way which can't be described based on logic necessarily, and definitely not based on what I deserve, but there's a special chemistry, a special bond that I feel with you. That's when I give you something out of chen. So that Rabbi Chanina and when the name Chanina represents somebody who looks at everything they get as a gift for free, a gift out of chen, not something they deserve. And that's why the name Chanina represents to us somebody who is a big onav, somebody who's very modest, very humble, and understands that things that happen in this world are not because of his own merit, not because he's a big guy, not because he's chashuv, but Hashem gives him a gift. That's a true honor. He knows he doesn't deserve it. He might, and he thanks HaKadosh Baruch Hu for giving him things anyway. So there are other kinds of anavim too, but that is the most easy type of humble person to be. It's much more difficult to be humble if you think you deserve something. So if you don't think you deserve something, that's much more humility. So both of them are saying, Rabbi China Skan HaKohanim and Rabbi China ben Trajon, that people are not capable of doing things either without another authority. People need to have the authority of the government, which is external, or the authority of the Torah, which is internal. But you should never rely on yourself, even if you're a big tzaddik. Mora says, Al tamid ba'atzmcha yom moscha. Don't believe in yourself until the day you die. In other words, never rely on yourself and say, I know what I'm doing. I'm confident. I have the skill, I have the ability.
If you're playing rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and somebody does 50 times in a row, scissors, you can't rely on yourself and say he's going to do scissors again?
No. Of course not, because he's an independent person. He can change any time.
You can't rely on yourself in that case?
What?
You can't rely on yourself in that case?
No, it's a gamble. It's not a sure thing, it's a gamble. Most things in this world are gambles. You might see a pattern and decide, okay, things are going to follow this pattern, but it's still a gamble. It's a gamble with less risks. Okay, but it's still a gamble. By the way, do you ever hear the Monty Hall problem?
The what?
The Monty Hall problem.
That what? I know who he was.
Monty Hall is a game show host. The Price is Right. And what the contestants had to do is choose a door, 1 out of 3 doors, right? And if the prize is behind their door, of course they won. If the prize is behind the other door, they lost. So they got, if the door behind the door there was nothing, they got to choose again. So the Monty Hall problem is you have 3 doors. You chose one door. Oh no, they don't get to choose again. Sorry, they don't get to choose again. If you got the wrong door, then that's not. They got the wrong door, then now you're out.
To accept the prize.
What?
They refuse to accept.
No, that's not it. Listen, this is what it is. There are 3 doors, right? You have to accept the right door. Okay. Now what happened? Monty Hall, the game show host, you pick door A. There's door A, B, and C. So Monty Hall, the game show host, then opens door C. And you see door C is not where the prize is. So now you have 2 doors left, A and B. The one you chose originally and the other one. Should you change your choice from A to B or stay with A? That's the Monty Hall problem. And now why should you change your choice? Because the first time...
Wait, the price of right changed?
No. The question is whether you change your choice.
No, I'm saying, but the game changed?
I don't know the game changed, but it doesn't really have to do with the game. Just think about it without the game at all. Again.
Now you have to guess the price.
What?
Now the price is right, you have to guess the price.
Oh, then you have to guess the price. I guess so it must be a different one, not Price is Right, a different game. I don't know what game it is. But
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the same thing too if you have 3 shelves in front of you. And you have to figure underneath...
The price thing.
What?
The deal thing.
Yeah. So that the first time you chose, you had a 33% chance of being right. Because there are 3 doors and you pick 1 out of 3. The second time, if you choose a different door, you have a 50% chance of being right.
Remy, this is what we do to spam. You answer and say, who are you?
So that is the... So that is so the question is, you're supposed to change your choice. So really, all these, and the answer is, although I don't understand it because I don't really understand the mathematics, you are supposed to change your choice.
I'm sorry, I have no clue who you are.
You're supposed to change from the A door to the B door. But that's all of life is a gamble, and you have to always try and figure out what the best possibility is.
Remember, it was so random. The guy's like, Jennifer, I'm so glad you picked up. I was like, yeah, I have no clue who you are.
Is there a Jennifer in your house?
No.
Oh, okay. They didn't do their homework. Okay, so both Rabbi Hanina, Skana Kohanim, and Rabbi Chim are trying to say, don't trust yourself. Don't think that you I'll be the way Chazal put it. I'll be nos showing. Don't rely on your own. It's actually possible. Don't rely on your own understanding. Rather, you always have to have some safeguard. The safeguard for a society is the Malchus. The safeguard for an individual is the Torah, and therefore a person has to always have between in society itself. The Malchus helps you keep the peace, even a Malchus of non-Jews. And among two Jews, it's the Torah, the values of Torah, which make a person have the proper form of conversation and know what to talk about, not to talk about, and how to talk. And even one person, also, he always has to be involved with Torah. Because when he's involved with Torah, that tells him what to do in his life. So that's what it says. According to one understanding, tells a chiddush that even though he's learning by himself, and maybe even he's learning in silence, like not like the Bar Tanura, he still gets a schar. But the other possibility is a person who's learning by himself, he also has to figure out what the right thing and wrong thing to do is, and therefore he should always be osek b'Torah. Now, it doesn't say he's lo-mei Torah. This goes back to what we said before. Learning Torah is learning. Osek b'Torah is being involved in Torah. And Tosfos in Bracha says that being involved in Torah doesn't mean you're actually learning. It means that you come back to it whenever you can. Like a business. An ASEC is a business. So just like a business, you're not involved in it all the time, but you come back to it whenever you can. So to Torah, you should always be osek b'Torah. You should consider yourself being involved in Torah. And even though you're not learning right now, you have mind to go back, and that's really a focus of yours. And that's, Tosfos says, the reason why we don't make a Birchat Torah every time we sit down to learn. Because we should always be osek b'divrei Torah. We should always be involved. So, Mir Hashem, we should all be zoche to always be involved in divrei Torah, especially now when we have summer vacation coming up. Those of you who the parents wrote me, I'll get back to them within the next day or two.
I send it to you?
No. Your parents should send it to me.
Wait, bye, Rebbe.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so who's Akiva? So you're laying this week?
Yeah.
Mazel tov. Okay.
Thank you. Bar mitzvah.
All right.
Hopefully it's on Shabbos.
Okay. So very good. Take care, guys. And I hope